What's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube as well. We are growing thanks to you for being able to support us on YouTube and also where we get your podcast for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. They do a great job of being able to support us. We want you to support them. Think about it. You're looking to be able to get into a brand new place, a new home. Go through the home buying process by going to Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, a proud partner with Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. NHSchicago.org is where you go. Just tell them Jay Hood sent you. Get out of that stuffy loft, that overpriced apartment, and consider planting roots with Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Plenty of content on the Bears and the Packers, some college basketball as well. It's all there for you on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Hit that subscribe button. That way you miss nothing from our channel. And by the way, the merchandise, it's ready. It is cold out there in the Midwest and also in the Northeast. So get yourself some Under the Hood merchandise, like a beanie, or get yourself an Under the Hood mug, or for your ladies, there's t-shirts there. And there's so much more for the Under the Hood merchandise. Oh, I should mention, because it's cold, guys, make sure that you protect your hoodie as much as possible, or maybe get her one. Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood merchandise is in the bio of this podcast right now. Whether you're listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you check out Under the Hood merchandise. And it doesn't cost you anything to click the link, but I think it's a great stocking stuffer. I want you to consider Under the Hood merchandise. Let's talk more about Meat and Cheese Week, the Bears and the Packers. Big game, one of the biggest games that we've seen in a long time between the Bears and Packers. You say they're all big. No, it's very rare you see the Bears in first place and the Packers chasing. So that's why we got Ken Davis is going to join us from That Davis Show. He's going to join us as he does every week to talk about the Bears. Looking forward to our conversation, and make sure that you comment, like, share, and subscribe. What we do here on Under the Hood. Meat and Cheese Week, Bears and Packers. Let's talk about it with Ken Davis next. It is time to get in that sea. You see that? We're in the sea. You got to get it in the sea, Ken Davis, because that's the key on Under the Hood, to get into the sea. Everybody's got to get into the sea. Big C is right there on YouTube, because we all got to get in, because it's Bears and Packers week. Ken Davis is with us here to preview the Bears and Packers. As always, sir, appreciate the time.
Appreciate you bringing me on, man.
Gotta get in the sea, man. Gotta get into the sea. It's not quite a circle. It's not a circle, but you got to get in there, man, because that's where everyone else is. The sea.
We have to.
Got to get in there, man. It's very
great
important.
time to.
People on the podcast listening is very confused, but it is a logo that we have on the screen, and everybody's got to get in. It's a great time, isn't it, to be a Bears fan and a Packers fan, because this game has a lot of meaning. I just want to get your overall thoughts on the Bears so far. Before we talk about this game, give me your overall thoughts on the Bears so far this season, especially after that big win against the Eagles.
It is, you know what? I'm really going to wax poetic. It is one of the greatest Bears seasons in history, honestly. And I'll tell you why. I was old enough to remember the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm old enough to remember that before the internet, the world went crazy about the Bears. Like, there's still Bears fans, you know this from being in this business, that are from all over the world, and it's really the 85 Bears are the reason that they're Bears fans, right?
Yeah.
I see Knife Wonder, former DJ producer for Little Brother, and also a label owner and, of course, producer. He's waxing about the Bears all the time. The reason why is the slab, J Hood, is a nice slab was laid down, and usually the foundation is trash. And the Bears, there's always the fear. And I remember me and my former producer, and he's worked all over Chicago, Tony Gill. Mm-hmm. We used to have these discussions at lunch when the Bears made a trade for Khalil Mack. And Tony was like, I think they did it too early. And hindsight being 10-20, what he was saying is factual, because the foundation wasn't built and you ended up kind of wasting it. Not saying you shouldn't have traded for Khalil Mack, but there was no foundation. The Bears do need to have some extra pass rusher or two, but the fact that the offensive line is set and strong, it's not even a question. Like, you don't need Trent Williams to be your left tackle at this point, how strong the offensive line is. The fact that the coach, and I'll say it all the time and pat myself on the back, I wanted Ben Johnson to be the Bears head coach for several seasons. And the fear was when he got into the head coach seat that he may not be able to handle it. He had a strong-willed head coach. So you don't know when he's in charge of that staff and those men in the locker room, will they follow him because Dan Campbell is such a lightning rod? But we've seen that he is. We've seen the adaptability. We've seen as a CEO what he can do. And I think Ben Johnson is really the reason this is exceptional, because if you even look at the closest thing to this with the Matt Nagy's rookie season as a head coach, there were questions about, was Matt Nagy even calling plays in Kansas City? There's no questions about the fact that Ben Johnson was calling plays in Detroit. We know that he can do that job. So they're at that part. But what you're looking at now, and I think we still have to see what happens when we talked about this last week, because last week we were saying it was win or lose, but it's really kind of the context of how the game went, right? And we still have to see if they lose, how they come back. We still have to see after an offseason of having their heads gassed up, how he can recalibrate himself and the team. So there's still levels to this. But as a beginning with a young quarterback, so I haven't even gotten to Caleb yet. With a young quarterback who, yes, the completions have to, the accuracy increases, and the completions have to increase. But to me, the last 3 weeks have been some of the best 3 weeks of structured football that he's played since he's been in the NFL, as far as 1, 2, 3 ball out, and getting rid of the ball and not trying to play hero ball every second. Like that was, I was fearful that he was not going to be able to unlearn that. So I think and I'm saying it's so great because what the future may be. I don't think I've ever been in a situation that the future looks so bright. In 2018, none of us were really big, and it's not a knock on Mitch, but none of us were big on him getting drafted. And then we believed, okay, he's good. Maybe he can grow and be a really good quarterback. He's athletic, you know what I'm saying? And that never happened, right? And that's not all on Mitch, it's on Matt Nagy and the organization. Yeah. But I mean, Mitch and coming out of North Carolina and Caleb coming out of USC, Oklahoma is 2 totally different beasts. Yeah. You know, and to right that ship, what it seems like Ben Johnson is being able to do and Caleb is being able to do, applied with what Dennis Allen is doing, and the fact that now you could have a Vic Fangio situation in the future after maybe 2 or 3 seasons where some team wants to give Dennis Allen a chance if this defense becomes one of the better defenses over the long haul. But him already having 2 opportunities, he may have already had that type of adventure, and he doesn't want to go do that again. Maybe he does, but still, the fear, we've always had the fear of, man, I don't want a bad one because she's gonna leave because guys gonna holler at her and I'm referring to offensive coordinator. And we don't have that. That fear is not here because the offensive coordinator is the head coach, and he's shown that he can grow. Like, so a lot of the fears that we've had in the Bears world or Bear Kingdom or whatever you want to call it, this seems like it could be right. Time will tell. So I'm always a person that's leery and like cautious. I'm not that cautious with this. You know, like this has more to do with a missed. I don't want to say a missed field goal, but like particularly with us and double doinking, I don't want to say that. But this has more to do with, I know, but this has more to do with luck not being on your side than preparation to me. And like if you kind of get what I'm saying, because I think
I do.
They're well coached. You can tell from the backups coming in. Like the first game when the linebackers, the backups had to come in, you could see, okay, if they weren't as stout in with the Pittsburgh. But then you look at this last game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, the fact that they imposed their will on the champs, like regardless of the score wasn't indicative of they were imposing their will and smacking them. At one point, I'm watching the game with the old lady, and I was like, the Eagles are quitting. Like they're out. They're starting to check out. And so that when you do that, and last week me and you were like, hey, there's a chance they can lose this game. There's a chance they can win every game that they play for the remainder of the season. So and look, for me to say this, it's all good and gravy right now. So I'm enjoying this, and everyone should enjoy it, Hoodie.
I think that we should talk about what your favorite part of football is, and that's, well, first of all, it's winning, but secondly, the trenches. Because let's just talk about that for a second, because we say that speed travels, right? And so what about toughness? I think you could say that toughness does travel with the Bears. I can go back to July in training camp and where the Miami Dolphins were complaining that we were too physical, that the Bears were too physical for them. And I was like, what? I don't understand. What do you mean too physical? This is an offensive line that was a bunch of rickety chairs. They had all these penalties. They were not together, but they were physical. Now, fast forward to where we are right now in December, Ken. I couldn't be more happier for the offensive line and for Caleb Williams because it all works in concert. The running game and the gaps in that offensive line were just vast, so Monangai and Swift can get through them. From there, Caleb Williams is not getting sacked 68 times this year because you have an offensive line that's working in concert. I don't know about you, Ken, but think about all the issues that the Bears have had with the offensive line. And for it to work sonically this way, where there was some too many penalties early, but just every week you see them being a fist, an iron gate to protect the running game and for Caleb Williams. I mean, that's just been, to me, one of the big stories of the season.
And that speaks to coaching. And that's just not just Ben Johnson, but Roshar and everyone else, because usually a team that's heavily penalized, like they weren't just heavily penalized for the first few games, they were heavily penalized for like the first 7 to 8 games easily, right? Usually that continues. You may have a game that's not as bad, but it seems like it's been remedied. The false starts, like that was compounding and confounding. You look at the fact that when you brought in the 3 offensive linemen, when you traded for Joe Thuney, Dahlman, you got him in free agency, then you traded for Jonah Jackson. I think Jonah Jackson was looked at as the weaker link because of what his experience was with the Rams coming over from the Lions. You look at how he's been playing the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like he's throwing dudes out the club consistently. You look at there was a time where you drafted a right tackle in the first 10 and he don't look like it, right? As far as Darnell Wright, and he's played at times like one of the better right tackles within the NFL. There's still some growth have to be there, but the pluses are way better than the minuses. You can see like now, okay, again, like if you're facing a TJ Watt, you're facing a Micah Parsons, you have to rise to the occasion. They may get you, but you got to get them too. You know what I'm saying? Like that has to be what he has to do when he takes this next step. But now when you're set from left guard to right tackle, and before the season, before they made any deal, and people were just like, they need a left tackle. It's like, no, they need 2 guards in the center too, right? Like, and then how are you going to do all of that in the offseason? Maybe you'll get a guard. Are you going to go out and spend on Dahlman because that's probably the best thing you could do where you don't have to trade anything and overpay him, and that's what you do in free agency. And I'm not saying it as a knock, but him entering free agency at this period, being the highest ranked center, he's going to get paid to leave the team that he's on, and he rightfully did. So that and also this, though, some of those guys, Joe Thuney isn't young. I think he has 2 to 3 more years in him, right? Yeah. But I also believe the style of play, or in the program where this is what we do. Like you may not have your guard of the future. Let's just say if this continues, may not be as good as Joe, but there's going to be more of a culture on the offensive line. You mentioned the physicality. That's a culture. Like, like this is what we nasty around here. You know what I'm saying? People, when they see that C that you had up on the show earlier, when they see that on their schedule, those guys on the defense know, and he put it up just now for everybody that's just listening. Those guys know I'm going to be in the ice tank. All right. I'm going to be with the trainers after this game and the week after. Like if anybody's played in any sports, win or lose, particularly if you played against people that are better than you as far as the types of players that they have, if their coach calls and is like, yeah, you guys whooped our ass, we made a win, but all my guys are in the training room, those are the things that you want to hear, that you were being physical on them. And that's what they're doing. And like even like when you're talking about Green Bay on paper being the better team, also Green Bay being further along in the process. Like Green Bay, like I think a lot of us like, hey, y'all need to flip this because you see what Green Bay and Detroit's doing. And by the time you're ready to do something, you're going to be starting where the Bears are right now, and they're way ahead of schedule. But when you look at the fact that their interior defensive linemen are out, and what we're just talking about here about the offensive line, like we know, and to your point, when you said that physicality travels, speed travels rather, but now running travels too. And like that's something that you can take that with you. Sometimes the passing game may just be off, but running the ball and what these running backs are doing, and again, and I know we say this every week, these weren't the guys that we thought that he wanted in his system, and they're out here running over the Eagles like you won what at the end of last season?
Right.
Say that again, huh? What?
Right.
Say it again. Like when that makes you feel good, because you know one thing, and I'll end it right here. I think a lot of us fans and people that are in media, we just want you to see what we see, because most of us, I'm not as smart as Ryan Poles when it comes to football or Ben Johnson, but I'm smart enough with some things to kind of know how it should kind of go. And a lot of times with ownerships, particularly with my baseball team, it seems like, wait, we're not seeing the same thing here, or is it just you just don't want to go along with what common sense is? And now when you look at the fact that Ryan Poles finally went out, and of course, I'm sure it's under the suggestion of his head coach, and got offensive lineman, being a former offensive lineman, and the assistant GM and Ian Cunningham being former offensive lineman, knew you can't draft your way out of here. Particularly, you guys aren't good at drafting offensive linemen. Because I'll give you this: if you draft one of the top 10, he better be good. Like that's that's not we picked the right one. You damn well better have picked the right one. You had the whole rest of the draft. Like you had your selection right at right tackle. Now you know right tackles. This isn't like a left tackle where he may not be there at 10 or 9 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? No, a right tackle, that's the sweet spot where it's like, okay, maybe we'll go there, and it still can be somewhat early. So yeah, like that, it makes you feel good that common sense football is being applied here. Because a lot of times, and I know that sounds simple, people just don't use common sense in real life, and they don't use it sometimes when they're building teams and organizations.
It's what mom used to say. Common sense is not common.
It's
sometimes, you know. And so I it's funny. So Ken, after Black Friday, Cap and I do the Cap and J Hood morning show, and we start talking about the Bears, and we're so impressed by the victory, talking about the offensive defensive line, talk about the running game, and we looked at the clock and said, it's an hour and a half. We haven't talked about Caleb. That's usually doesn't work that way, right? Usually it's like quarterback first, defense first, certain games. I said, we talked 90 minutes and then talk about the quarterback. That's good and bad. So we should talk about that. So what we were told is that there was windy conditions at the Link in Philadelphia, that the ball would be knocked down because the wind was so huge in that game, such a factor in the game. Okay. So the Bears did something that I didn't think I'd see against a Vic Fangio defense, and pushed them and ran over them. And even my Philadelphia friends from in the press were like, yeah, we haven't seen the Eagles pushed like that ever. They've never been out physical like that before. So shout out to the offensive line for doing that. But Caleb Williams, key touchdown against the Eagles with Cole Kmet at the end of the game. But we can't turn a blind eye to what's real. And that is that this game coming up on Sunday, Ken, is huge for Caleb Williams, because we know that we watch Bears games. They're not all the same. They're like the memory cards, right? It's like 9, 8. No, that's not right. 7, 9. Okay. The 9. Okay. 9, 9. Because they're not all the same, you see.
Right.
Because sometimes it's the tight end game. Sometimes it's the wide receiver game. Sometimes it's the defense, the secondary making big plays. Sometimes it's special teams. You never know with this team. But I'd like for this game on Sunday to be the Caleb Williams game, in which all of it works. The running game, he's a big factor. The offensive line makes a big factor. I want to know your thoughts about Caleb Williams right now. How likely is it for him to be able to have, I'm not talking about 300 yards. I'm talking about turning 3s into 7s for Caleb Williams.
I do believe they'll need it. I don't know if it will be the main factor. I would think it's partially the main factor, but they've been able to win anyway. Like, what you're saying, it'd be nice if it happens to a degree.
That's all I'm asking.
It'd be nice I think as he's been growing, we'll see that. And the funny thing about Caleb is this: I felt that my blood pressure was going crazy at the mid part of the season with all the heart attack games, cardiac games they were playing. But he was bailing their asses out. But the bad part, the middle of the game, the passing game was just totally disconnected. And I was frustrated because that's when I was worried that his ceiling was lowering. I was like, you know what? He may not be as special like he may be special, but if he can't play in structure, that specialness really doesn't matter when you're talking about getting to a Super Bowl, because you can't sandlot your way to a Super Bowl. You may be able to steal one like that. And I think it's harder in this NFL than it was years back, because defenses are so much better. I feel like we're in an era actually now where the defense has really caught up to the offense again. And it'll be interesting to see if the league makes some rule changes, if they get concerned about that. Because even most of the great offenses, or what we consider the great offenses, they're not blowing the doors off like they were 3 or 4 years ago. Like
I know, Ken, but you can't have the running game and the weapons offensively ahead of the quarterback. But it is.
It's
still winning this way. Yeah.
It is, but I'm with you. He's going to have to play a good game. Like, put it like that. To beat this team, you would think, unless they just run. And again, we're talking about one of the better defenses in the NFL, referring to the Packers, right?
Right.
We're talking about in everything, they're either top 5 or top 10. All right. As far as the run, rush TDs allowed, pass TDs allowed, everything, points allowed, they're in the top 10. All right. So he's going to have good. I think he can. You know, like I think the thing with you, like you just don't want it to be situational as much. You want it to be consistent. And I don't know if it's still going to take games, or if not this season, for. I would say I think it's coming, because I didn't think he would play in structure like he has the last 3 weeks. And I think that's kind of like, if you like, one thing that you always say, like, you know, national people aren't really watching like that, right?
Fair.
And so like you, from the Troy Aikman game or whatever, and you just hear people talking, and it's like, are you watching or whatever? But like, if you were watching the last 3 games, the problems that he had where he thought he was at SC on every damn down, that it was like, dog, if you don't get rid of the damn ball, like, what the hell are you doing? Get the rock out. And people would be like, well, maybe nobody's open. I'm like, dude, are you crazy? We just don't see it because it's not the all 22. Clearly the scheme, someone is open. He's holding onto the ball. And think about this. He wanted to see people open, see guys open. Now he's throwing it before they're open. Like there are things, it hasn't come together all the way, but my concerns for him is lessened because the foundational aspects he seems to be getting, and I was worried that he would never allow himself to adjust like that. So I think it's coming. Hopefully it's this week, but I don't have a crystal ball to necessarily tell you if it's this week, Hoodie.
I don't know why you don't have a crystal ball. Just go down the street and get one. Go to the store.
I'm going to 87.
Well, yeah, yes. You don't know where Dollar General is, or like a spot like that. Go get yourself a ball. That's what you do, Ken Davis.
I want a real one. I don't want a Dollar General crystal ball.
Where do you get a real crystal ball at? Remember Spencer Gift had that back in the day?
Oh, yeah. The worst part about Spencer Gift is they left the needle print thing out. And everybody, you would put your hand on it, and some people put their face on it, and it'd be like, do you know how germy that thing? Everybody in Chicago is in the suburbs is coming through and touching that one thing, and you're putting it on your face. Then the naughty stuff they had in the back, you bring the kids in here. That's when the mall, sir, was the mall, like an experience. Okay, now this one, and I know this was great because from your day to my day, and that, like, so for me and my St. Francis days, Hoodie, I was like one of the first people to realize that River Oaks was enclosed when they enclosed it, like when I was in high school. And that was, so nobody was going out there really, because cats didn't know. It was like, it was like this, like, shh, this is our secret right now, right?
Yeah.
Like when that you have that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, that was our spot. You think about it. If you are going to school in the Southeast side, you get in the car and you just go through Burnham, go through Hegewisch, go through Burnham, and then you're right there. Like,
right up Torrance.
City.
Up Torrance. If you're afraid of the expressway, you could just take Torrance up there. So that was when I first started driving. I took Torrance, and then I started riding on the Calumet. But like when I was taking my friends out there, and it was like, what, they enclosed? It was like, yes. Like, this is oh man, then everyone found out about it. But yeah, I need to get one. I was gonna say maybe I can Elvira.com or something, I could get me one, but yeah, I don't have one, unfortunately.
Now, you were doing well, right? Somebody had more gas than usual when you said, nah, not River Oaks Mall, Matson. Oh,
Yeah.
step up in class. Oh, little Maxton, a little Peppies over here.
Oh yeah.
A
Oh,
little
nothing like
Darcy
some
over there.
Peppies back. That was good. Like that, right? When you go to Peppies in high school, you was doing the damn thing when you was going to Peppies.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
go
mean,
to Peppies.
many steps above the Tasty Freeze on Ewing Avenue. You see,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
many steps there. So if someone had gas, and you're like, nah, not Calumet, we're gonna go to Matson. We're gonna go to Bocce's. And we're gonna go. It's like, okay. That's when you're doing well. Sneak through the back door. I mean, there's something between 86 and 90 that you guys at the high school didn't have. You know, it's
No.
sad.
Yes. I mean, yes. I think except mine was blacker, but I think it was those days though, because it was I think there were more students there.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of that with a lot of things, I think the 80s were the sweet spot when things started kind of going away. I mean, because that's also the end of untethered children. Well, the beginning to a degree. I was untethered, but then the freedom. Like, I mean, the freedom that you had, like, man, you leave the house at 10 a.m. You may see me when the lights come on. But that type of freedom that we had to roam and grow and learn how to interact with people, that kind of you don't have anymore. And because people are so siloed off with their devices, it's easy for people not to necessarily know how to ingratiate and react with one another in a positive manner.
And now we fast forward to 2025, a little bit too much freedom, a little bit too much. I didn't know 200 kids that can go to the tree lighting for downtown Chicago. I didn't know 200 kids. I couldn't
see. That's another. But see. Okay, and we'll get back to the football in 1 second. So the kids in the hood, when my cats used to be like, "Man, what y'all doing?" We're going downtown. Dudes used to not go downtown like that back in the day, right? People that wasn't.
But you didn't have 200 people coming at the same time.
No, but of course, and flash mob because of course cell phones and all that. But it wasn't the thing for people to do like it was like for us, where it was like, right. Yeah, we're going to kick it. We're not hanging out. And at one point, when you stop hanging out in your hood like that, you would sometimes be there. But I would always say, in the times where I was hanging too much, like being the kid that was in school, was like, if something bad happened, I'm the newspaper person where it's be like, so-and-so kid that was going to here. What the hell was he doing there? Right. And it was like, yeah, it's probably time for me to go. Right. Because I'm the headline. Right. So like, let me get my ass up out of here. But that part is what now is, and it's messed up. I hate to say, I mean, it's messed up. I'll say it's messed up all over the place. But when you have your economic center like that, and like for instance, my son wanted to go down there that day, right? And the funny part is, mom is like, I don't think so. It's probably gonna be some foolishness. And I was like, nah. I'm like, it's gonna be too many cops. It's downtown. And when it happened, I said, well, you called it. I said, and I mean, right across from where you work at. That's crazy. The amount of people, and also having ABC7 in that building, the amount of people outside of ESPN 1000 with footage that were working there, that's ridiculous. That I mean, that's a discussion. Like, we have to start another pod for that.
Yes, this is the after football show. Right? Yeah. After football season, I'll be glad to slot us in February to be able to break this down, because it is it's something out here, Ken. It really is. Like across the street from where I work. And for those that are not familiar, the story is about kids being shot at a Christmas lighting event in downtown Chicago. All we were doing is just trying to find food and maybe dine and dash. That was the worst that we did in high school. But this here, it's just I hate to sound like the old guy because I always try to keep it young, but that's a disconnect for me. Because I never did what we see on a regular basis with 200 or 300 strangers and try to just cut up. I couldn't do that shit. Couldn't do it. But yeah, and neither could you, by the way. Neither could you.
Sure, couldn't. I had some. I've been responsible. Oh, I think I was given too much responsibility. They kind of forgot about me. But I was outside a little bit. Sometimes I was in the shenanigans, but most of the part I wasn't, and I kept my nose clean. I made sure that they never heard of anything that I did. My dad told me, with my great grandmother who I knew that raised him, I never wanted her to hear anything bad about me and my grandmother, and it would be like agitate me. I would come home at night. I'm like, Grandma, what are you doing up? She's like, I'm waiting for you to get home. I'm like, you don't have to wait for me. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, I get why she was waiting for me. Like, I'm her baby, and she know. My grandma was a registered nurse, so she knows what happens out here. And I'm like, she's worried like anything could happen to me or whatever. So yeah, it's one of those things where I'm lucky. I think anybody that grows up any place is fortunate, but you grow up in a metropolis like Chicago and you make it through. There's something to it there, like particularly if you are outside, you know what I'm saying? There's something to making it through that juggernaut. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, you made it out. If I didn't read about you and your shenanigans in the Daily Calumet, looks like you are all right. You're okay.
All right.
You're not in the police blotter on the Daily Calumet or the Daily Southtown. So nope. You're fine. Okay, so not to worry about that. Now, if I saw your ass in the Defender, I probably would be like, I saw you thumbing through the Defender like, Ken Davis did what? St. Francis de Sales? Oh hell no.
Oh,
but you didn't. You weren't involved in that.
Real quick, but then it makes me mad being in media. So I was at a Wu-Tang concert when they were out here 3 years ago, and someone threw beer on the guy next to me, and they did it again, and some of it kind of got on me, and I turned around frustrated, and I wanted to fight, and I was like, I could lose my job if I jump on these fools, and I was like, I don't know if I like being in media at this point.
You want the freedom to jump on these dudes. That's what you
want. Yeah, dude. I was like, I wanted to, because it's no reason. It was just no reason for these actions. And it wasn't like we were instigating anything or even paying them any mind. So, and you know where we come from, like disrespect. Like, that's one thing when you're older, you have to realize to gear it down, but disrespect is not taken like that. Like I tell people, like when we grew up, you had to see somebody. So one, you watched what you said, or if you said it, you knew you had to back it up. You couldn't just be texting and like this, like you were going to encounter that person and you better be ready to handle what comes when you encounter that person. And now you can just be a fake tough guy 24/7.
I always tell people, don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let this great diction and this platform. I mean, dude. It's kind of ingrained as Southsiders. It's ingrained in us as we talk about the Bears and the Packers here. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and comment to the videos that we have here on Under the Hood with John the Hood. I want to find out from you, Ken Davis, the key players for the Bears, guys that you want to see step up here against the Packers, because it's not necessarily 2, 3, 4 guys that we always know, because it varies, I think, from game to game. Give us those key players that you want to see step up for this game.
He steps up every game. I want to say Deshaun Wright. I want Jalen to be stronger. But I think if the DBs do, because there's so many, like Byard, and if they do if they're able to do with a quarterback that isn't turnover prone, but he does put it out there in Jordan Love. He does give you opportunities with his style of play, but he's been able to negate. I think he only has 3 interceptions this season. He's been able to negate turning the ball over. But I would say, of course, somebody that we talked about, Montez Sweat and Grady Jackson. And I don't know for sure if TJ Edwards is going to play. I know that he was limited this week. If he plays, I think that can be impactful for this game. Then the flip side is if Rome, I know was held out a couple of practices. If he can just be a decoy, and I'm saying that I think this should be a big time DJ game. And we saw they've kind of gone to DJ. I think it's time. And this is also, I think that we're in a period where some of the things that Ben Johnson has been keeping under wraps, that now we're going to start seeing it, that we're at the latter end of the year. Some of the plays that I'm sure he implemented in camp and earlier in the year, but it's like, we're going to hold that because we don't want to put this on tape. I think we're going to start to see that. But I mean, the O-line is going to be good. But yeah, I think DJ and Caleb has to, if yards don't matter as much as touchdowns, if he can get 2 to 3 touchdowns, I think they win, particularly if he only has 1 turnover. You know, if he can do that, I think the Bears win this game because I think the Bears are going to be able to now run. I don't know if I doubt they're not going to have 2 100-yard rushers. I would say
No.
They're not going to Peyton Matsui it. But I do believe they're going to be able to consistently have the run be a factor in this game. Now, the success of yardage, I can't tell you, but I think that allows them to use play action and allows them to run their offense against a team that gets after the quarterback. I think it's imperative that what we've been seeing in Caleb, again, featuring on him being an important part to get rid of the ball with Michael Parsons has been kind of coming along now after that trade, and you know how fast he is. Like, you can't play with him like you play with some of these other people. That young man is extremely fast and powerful. So I would say Caleb and DJ on the offense. I wonder if Rome doesn't play, will we get more Luther Burden and what he could perhaps do on defense? Your star lineman, perhaps with a little access, a little twinkle of Booker on there. Linebackers if TJ Edwards is back, and your DBs, like one, you're getting your now it's the second game back from your 2-star DBs in Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson. Like these, I know we are used to them here. These are some of the better defensive backs within the league, to say the least, to go along with the fact that your safeties have been playing well, but you have a Pro Bowler in Byard and you have another Pro Bowler, and it's one thing you've been saying about in Deshaun Wright. I mean, you have the things to win. If they can stop the run, and again, if Jacobs gets 80, cool. If you could cap it around there, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't allow him to rush all over you and you can kind of make it more of a Jordan Love game. Now they have, and they always have this in Green Bay, they have a nice receiving core. They may not have the number 1 receiver in the league, but they usually got 4 guys that can really catch the ball. Like that's something from the Favre era to the Rodgers era to right now, and the guy that some of us Chicago fans want to hear, and Christian Watson has been healthy and playing well of late. You know that comes and goes. And Dobbs is always there, and it benefits the Bears that Kraft is out, because you know how well the connection between Jordan Love and their tight end Kraft has been. So the game is there. I hope they don't split. I feel like if I was being honest, I would say that this could be a split with them playing the Packers in the week after next. But if they can go up to Lambeau and win again like they did at the end of last season, that says a lot. I mean, they said a lot last week. Like you went into Philly and did it, and then the next week you go into Lambeau and do it. Now even more teams are like, yeah, we kind of don't want to play them because it's hard to put your finger on what they're going to do to beat you outside of course, fundamental football.
Ken, I do want to go back to something that you were talking about regarding key players for the Bears, and you talk about Grady Jarrett. So is that from a run stuffing standpoint? Because with Montez Sweat, he has come on as of late, and we talk about this all the time. I'm not worried about sacks. I am worried about pressure, though. I want Jordan Love to be comfortable. This guy here in December seems like he always turns it on the last couple of years. I just don't want him to get comfortable. So when you talked about Grady Jarrett being one of the keys, is that also stopping the run, or do you expect Jarrett to get to the quarterback?
I expect him to pick the guy up that's in front of him and make the pocket smaller. That's what really, I think at this stage of his career, as far as the 3 technique and what you think about is shooting the gap, penetrating, I think that's spurty, but I do see he's strong. His leverage wise, he's low enough to the ground that it's hard for an offensive lineman to get that low, and he's able to make what the shortest way to anything is a straight line. So one thing that quarterbacks, some of them young ones don't do it, stepping into the pocket, he's able to shrink the pocket and not allow the quarterback to step up to be able to throw a crisper pass, because he's able at times to push that offensive lineman, that guard or that center back into the quarterback's lap. And that's that's a great question. That's more of the focus. I think run times he pops. Some of the run too is more of a couple of linebackers in the nickel situation, the DBs, because I don't know if it's the injury or if it's father time with him, but there are some limits at this season. There have been also the last couple years in Atlanta. You can't see he's not all-star Grady Jarrett. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, you got to choose your snaps with him in a degree of, you don't want to overuse him. I didn't like when they used to say that when Billings first got here. I thought and I said this on here before, that he was collapsing the pocket. He wasn't just a run stopper. He was collapsing the pocket. And that was for a team that didn't have any pressure. And I didn't know why. I know you're looking at him as being a nose, but he's pushing those guys back, and you need some type of pressure. Now, at this age, Billings is more of a snap guy, but particularly having injuries also. But that kind of applies to someone who has a better pedigree within the league as far as Grady Jarrett also.
I think that the Bears could win the football game, but my keys, Ken, is Caleb Williams has to be able to be the reason. Like, I don't want this game to linger where you're close within the 20s to the end zone, and then you had to settle for 3 points. I want him to be able to get the ball and get it to his receivers, his weapons, to get in there and get touchdowns. Caleb has to do that. That's one. Secondly, I just want him to be able to distribute the football as well as he did against the Eagles, where you get Zacchaeus back in the mix, you get your tight ends, Kmet and Colston Loveland in the mix. And again, this don't have to be the Rome Odunze show. Doesn't have to be the DJ Moore show, but just be able to distribute the football and just keep the Packers on the sidelines, keep that offense on the sidelines. It's not keep away. It's just being strong with your time of possession, taking your time, meticulously going down the field and scoring and getting touchdowns. From a defensive standpoint, I've been asking for sacks or been asking for pressures all season. Probably not getting that. But if nothing else, I want the defense to be tight against Jordan Love. I don't want him to be comfortable in the pocket. I don't want him running with the football. I'd rather for them to limit those opportunities, but also want the defense to be able to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And the other thing is that from a special team standpoint, I want better yardage. Like, not just the one game for Duvernay to help set up one of the Bears' victories this year. I want them to be able to be strong on special teams as well. Because the one thing that we know from the Philadelphia game, if you get the lead and you start being able to keep the ball away from the opposition, the crowd will turn on the home team, because we saw that. We saw that again in Philadelphia. Not only did the Bears beat the Eagles, but the Eagles fans beat the Eagles.
Yes.
I want that to happen on Sunday. At least that's the hope.
Great point. And also, it's funny, and I've been meaning to talk to someone about this.
I'm here. You can talk to me.
I know. But I think now with the success that the Pack have kind of had these last 3 games after the loss to the Eagles, that people forget that Packers fans aren't happy with Matt LaFleur. And to your point, they are ripe for an upsetting to where they could rain down boos. It's funny you said I was watching the game with the old lady. I was like, man, these fans are spoiled. And they just won a Super Bowl and they are losing it over this. And again, the AJ Brown situation didn't help. Yeah. It drummed it up. The fact that Jalen Hurts hasn't been able to consistently get him the ball, and the play calling hasn't been able to benefit their offense vertically. But yeah, you clicked it right there. If you were able to do that, particularly because it's the first game of the year, Bears Pack, and as you opened up this show talking about the Pack chasing the Bears this late in the season, so Packers fans want to put your little brother, was what they would feel like, back in his place, and to have little brother come into his house and rub his feet on the couch like Rick James, they're not going to enjoy that if the Bears are able to pull that off, as far as if offensively they're able to do what they need to do.
I got news, brother. What's news.
That? What you got?
Rome Odunze will not play on Sunday with the foot injury.
Wow.
All good.
Wow.
All good.
Wow.
That'd be a major problem if the Bears didn't have someone else to go to. They got 4 or 5 other guys. All good. Because some of these games that we've seen, it's like you look at the box score and be like, damn, Rome didn't get a target, or he got 3 targets and no receptions, no touchdowns. All good. I'm all good with it, because now DJ Moore is like, okay, finally. Now I've done plenty of blocking. Can I get the football now? I mean, I've earned my spot. And Colston Loveland's like, okay. Cole Kmet's like, okay. Like Zacchaeus, and
this has to be a Luther Burden game. This has to be a Burden game.
All good,
hoodie.
All good. Like I'm not dissing Rome Odunze. What I'm saying,
no. Yeah. Your point. Look, in the past,
to deal with. Yeah.
This would have been terrible in the past.
Yeah,
they have weapons. Like that. You get to your point with what Caleb needs to do. This would be different if, for instance, like 3 years ago, where it was like you had to trade for the receiver from the Steelers, the Notre Dame kid or whatever, who was a bust. I can't even remember his name with the actions that he had. But the point that
it's Claypool.
You say what? Yeah, Claypool,
It's
right?
Claypool, yeah.
But they didn't have anything. They have weapons. Like, I mean, they have 2 tight ends. They are 4 receivers deep, right? So you have a running back. Both running backs can catch the ball, and one of them is crazy in space in DeAndre Swift. You have an offensive line that can protect the quarterback and open up holes. So no, this isn't, oh, he's out, but it would have been nice to have the focus start off on him and exploit everybody else.
Sure.
But they could still win the game. It's not Rome's out. Hopefully Rome won't be out long. And also speaks to maybe they think they can do it without him.
And just as we record this, and of course everything can change on Sunday, Tyreek Stevenson's got that hip. He has not played. He was out. I think he might be out for the game on Sunday. Ruben Hippolyte, the rookie, is going to be out for this game as well. Andrew Billings had a concussion, but he's been a full participant. So he's good there. TJ Edwards with that hand and that hamstring. Jalen Johnson with a groin, but he's good. So Monunga had an ankle, but he's good. And so I get the big news is that Rome Odunze out for this game. And so is looks like Tyreek Stevenson, the 2 major keys for the Bears. But again, next man up has been really the hallmark of this team. So
DB wise, it's fine with Jalen being back. It kind of like it'll be worse. But when you're talking about Nahshon Wright's doing what he's doing, and you have Jalen on the other side, I mean, yes, Tyreek is more physical than Nahshon is. But when you have a guy that's getting to the ball like that, they're bountiful when it comes to defensive backs right now. You still have CJ Gardner-Johnson back there. Like, they have a lot. So that part they're fine. And it goes along to the wide receiver core. They have weapons. It's that, again, that's what in the beginning of the show where I'm like, this is kind of like this is wonderful what's going on, because they're built well outside of just needing someone else to rush the passer.
Ken, tell people about the post game for you on Sunday and where they can find you on YouTube.
You can find me, of course, at That Davis Show, but also particularly with the show with Alex Shapiro, my former under center buddy, and he was at CHSN prior to them letting him go about 2 months ago. You can find us for Fansided's podcast, the Windy City Pod. Every Bears at post game will be there, and also we do a show during out the week to preview the show and probably kind of go over the last game. So check out that episode. We just recorded it yesterday, and make sure you click, you like, you share, and you comment. Do the same with That Davis hoodie. I always appreciate you for bringing me on. It's great to talk Bears football with you, particularly when the Bears are doing so well. In the past, by week 5, we were seriously thinking about the draft, and we're not doing that right now.
You ready for this ass whooping on Saturday with Georgia and Alabama? You ready for that?
The thing is this. I have so many rings. It's when you have as many rings as we have. I think the thing is the difference is you want this for Kellen DeBoer. You want him to be able to, to ingratiate himself with this. So it'd be good there. But like, as long as he keeps growing the football hoodie, like if he keeps doing what he's doing, because it'll never be as sweet as what it was under Nick Saban. That no one will ever have that. No one. No, like once you sip from that cup, and I just have to tell Tony this because I'm like, dog, you're not enjoying this. This is so ultra rare, and you're upset where the rings are falling from the sky like bills at a strip club. So it's just, again, hey, good luck. We'll see. How about that? We'll see. I hope you guys maybe get a chance, And look, I like Kirby. Tell him anytime Georgia gets too stupid and thinks they can do better than him, we damn sure got a home for him over with the Tide. He can always come back. All right. And you're boosting up. You be a DC, or if not the head coach. But the door is always open for Kirby, because I appreciate Kirby. I appreciate him. But you guys just make sure you don't do nothing stupid with Kirby and think you're somebody you're not.
Tween the hedges. Look at that. That beautiful picture. That beautiful picture of Sanford Stadium. And yes, we will be coming against the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's going to be wonderful television to watch. I love how Ken Davis claims all these championships. In the era of Bear Bryant, you couldn't claim those championships because he didn't want you around the program.
Sure
during
didn't.
that time.
Nope.
Didn't
But
want,
we're not
didn't need
talking
you
about
there.
that time.
No, no,
We're
wait.
talking about
You
that
say you talking about all these rings? Wait a minute now. He
I
didn't
don't claim
want
you did look like I was claiming the 6 is what I was
Okay,
claiming. I was
okay,
claiming the 6.
because he didn't want
I was
people
not
like
claiming. No.
okay, because he didn't want people like you around the program
No.
during the Bear
No.
Bryant era. Just so you
You
know.
can start. I'll start off with the Bill Curry era. Nice gentleman. We'll go from there. But no, I mean Bear was. We talked about that before. Like I told you, my dad saying that I need to get me some of them. I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, that's like the history of a lot of things here in this country. Until
Yeah.
it's like, man, maybe I should. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Moving
Yes.
forward.
There he is, Ken Davis. Always been with the program since Mike Shula. So it's always good to. That's it. Don't be like these Johnny Come Lately now. Don't be like these guys like, oh, I love Saban, so now I'm an Alabama fan. No, go back to the dark ages.
Yes,
Dark ages.
when you would never believe they would have went on what they went through with Saban, where you thought the Bear Bryant stuff was a fable. All right, like that's how bad it was. Like you never would have thought that Alabama would be a destination school and you would see them really become a blue blood again, let alone and then all fairness, of course I was being facetious, but I was being real, like to win that much. And they stole titles like the last one they would with Bryce Young. They weren't really supposed to win that one. And there's nothing when you can steal your one, right? It was like, this isn't our year. Snatch, let's go, guys. We're gonna get out of here. Like when you can do that, but like when you like to experience that, like even for instance, regardless of we're talking shit with each other, but to go through what you're going through, where Kirby has cut off other people's access to Georgia and Georgia kids are staying home and you've won and you've been there, it's better than it's been in a long time. And that's really still like, yes, you want your team to win. I would have loved, I mean, it looked like they could have beaten Michigan, all right, in that last, and that would have been great for Saban to go out like that. But again, he brought, and not to say he's the greatest human being, but he brought a lot of joy to my heart, and I appreciate that, being someone whose family is from Alabama and a sports fan who me and my dad used to talk about it. So I never thought Alabama would be that good, and they won't be that good again. One, because he's not there, but also because of the NIL, and I'm sure that's part of the reason he got his what up out of there.
Makes perfect sense. I'm looking forward to the game, like all of college football, of course. And we got plenty of coverage for that right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood as well. Ken, let's talk next week after the Bears beat the Packers on Sunday.
I'll see you then. Be safe, my guy. And I'll see you all next week. Also, always appreciate you bringing me on. Absolutely. Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Over 50 years of service for the community. Oh, there it is right there. NHSchicago.org for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. For Ken Davis, I'm Jay Hood. Thanks for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.